All right, so for this last think, pair, share, um, I am going to go ahead and give you a calculator tutorial, but this is maybe to show you uh, some slightly more advanced features of your calculator to maybe make your life a little easier. Um, so I'm going to scroll down. It's going to show you the solution. You're welcome to go ahead and figure this out on your own and check your solution against mine. But I'm going to show you a few things as far as what both calculators can do to make maybe working with values on the calculators a little bit easier. Okay, so number one is, let's say you're adding in these values, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There really isn't a shortcut for that. Now, for these values of fractions, you don't have to calculate 4 divided by 50 as a separate number and then put that number into the calculator that way. You can actually just directly enter the fraction. Okay. So for example, if we look here at this value, random variable value of 5, and that has a probability of 2 divided by 50. So if we look at both calculators here, you can see list 1 is where I've put the values of x on the Texas Instruments calculator, and here are my probabilities. Now, I left out this last one because instead of putting a decimal number, I could just put 2 divided by 50 for this spot. And if I hit enter, it automatically puts the decimal number in there for me. And I did that all the way down. So I just entered in the fractions. And as soon as I hit enter, it converted the fraction into a decimal. Okay. And the same thing is true here on the numworks calculator. So in this second column, this Y1 column, this is where my probabilities are. I can type in 2 divided by 50, and there it converts it into a decimal for me. Okay. Now the third column, is the product of the first two. So I can just come up here and say that that's list 1 times list 2, and there we go. And then over here on the numworks, I can come over to x2, and I can click OK and say fill with a formula, just put empty. And then I can put shift alpha 2, so there's x1 times shift alpha 3, 1. So now this is going to be x times p of x, x1 times y1. Hit enter. Okay, and there's all my x times p of x products. You can see they're the same on both calculator. Now, the sum of these third columns, this is our expected value mu that we're going to be using later. So first, in order to calculate this on the Texas Instruments, we need to run one variable stats. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I have to go to the calc menu. So I hit the stat button, calc menu, one variable stats. I want to do this on list 3 and calculate. Okay, now the sum of all the x's is 2.32. So this value of 2.32 is my expected value. Now imagine if this had been a number with this many decimal places after it. Okay, and you don't want to round until you get to your answer. Okay, and this expected value is something that you need to use later. So how could we have used like the fully accurate version of this? Well, we can store this in a variable in the calculator. So one way that we can do that is let's quit out of this. Okay. And what we want to do is we're going to click variables, go down to statistics variables, go to the sum menu here and click sum of x. Okay, now this value is 2.32, and I guess we could have just used that, but I'm using this to show you an example. Now, over here, Just above the on button, there's a button that says STO with an arrow. Okay, that means store. So we want to take this value and we want to store that in a variable of our choice. Okay. Now, the variable that we're going to choose, I'm going to choose, is going to be the capital letter M, which is like mu. Okay. That's our expected value. So you can see here in green, there's a capital letter M. So now if I hit the green button, the alpha button, and the division key, it'll put a capital M. And if I hit enter, it's now taken whatever value was stored here and it's put it in the capital letter M on the Texas Instruments calculator. And it'll stay there until I delete it. Okay. Um, Now over here on the numwork side, we can do pretty much the same thing. So we want to get the sum of this X2 column. So I'm going to come up to the stats tab, click OK. And then I'm going to come down to sum, and I want to get the sum of X2, okay, which is 2.32. Now it has the equivalent of a store button, okay? And you'll notice on this X to the Y key, it's got a yellow arrow. That yellow arrow is like a store, store a value. So what we want to do is hit Shift in this store button with that 2.32 selected. And it says define a new variable. So we're going to put this in capital letter M. And you can see capital letter M is right here. So to get a capital letter, we need to do Shift, Alpha, and then 7. And that puts an M there. Now if I hit execute, it's now stored that value in capital letter M. Again, if this had been a number which had a lot of decimal places, we could have easily just stored that in capital letter M in the calculator in order to use next, in fact. So where that's going to come into play is, let me go back to this example. So now we've calculated this and we stored this value of 2.32 in capital letter M on both calculators. Now we're going to use capital letter M here in our fourth column to substitute in for mu. So instead of typing in 2.32, we're just going to put a capital letter M there. Okay. So let's come back up here. And we need to go to the list editor. So stat button. We'll go to edit. And then list 4. All right. So we need to put in x minus mu squared times p of x. So I'm going to put left parentheses. Now x is going to be our x values, so that's list 1. Minus, now this is where mu would go. We could type in 2.32, but I'm going to put a capital M. So remember, M is green, so we have to hit the green alpha key and then division symbol, right parentheses. And let's see, we want to square that and multiply that times p of x, which is list 2. So I'm going to hit second and 2, and that's going to put list 2 there. Now I'm going to leave this up just so I can see what I'm doing over here on the numworks calculator. So over here on column Y2, okay, I'm going to hit OK. Oh, I'm in stats. Keep forgetting. Need to come over to the data tab. Come over to Y2, select Y2 and click OK. All right, now I can fill with formula like that and empty. And okay, Y2, I'm going to use the same formula. So left parentheses, my values of X are in the column X1. So shift alpha X1 minus. Now I stored my value in capital M. So I'm going to hit Shift Alpha 7, and that'll put an M there, squared times, and P of X, the probability of each of those X's is stored in this column Y1. So I need to do Shift Alpha 3, 1. All right, so here we have the equivalent of both functions here. And I can hit execute there, and I can hit enter here. And yeah, we can see those are the exact same values. All right. Now to get the, let me go back here to our notes. So here we got 0.4306, 0.4306, 0.4306, right? So you kind of see where those come from. Now we need to take the sum of all of these and square root them. Okay, so we can come over here to the numworks calculator. So we need to take the sum of all of these and square root them. So to get the sum of column Y2, we can go to the Stats tab, come down to this sum row, come all the way over to Y2, and we could store that in a variable if we want to, but with this calculator, I'm just going to copy and paste. So I've got this value selected, 1.4976, 1.4976, and I'm going to hit Shift and then this variable button. That'll copy it. Hit the Home button. We want to go to the Calculation app, and I want to do the square root, and I want to paste. Shift Toolbox. So that'll be the square root of 1.4976. Hit execute. And that's going to be our standard deviation, 1.2237 and some change. 1.2237 and some change. Okay. Let's go over here to the Texas Instruments. So we need to take the sum of all of this. Yeah, let's not introduce anything new. So we need to do one variable stats of this. So we'll do stat, calc menu, one variable stats. We want to do one variable stats on list 4. Hit calculate. Okay, here's that 1.4976. We want to take the square root of that. So let's quit out of this. And we'll do square root. And we want the sum of the x's. So I'm going to go to variables, statistics variables, over to sum, and choose the sum of the x's. So we're going to take the square root of the sum of the x's, hit enter, and get 1.22376 and some change, or 1.2238, which is what the answer is. All right, so felt a little bad about not giving the full calculator tutorial with the previous iteration of this think, pair, share. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you how you can put fractions in to either calculator. You can put fractions in and it'll convert it into decimals. So you can put fractions in and it'll convert it into decimals. And then, you can use the store button on the Texas Instruments calculator. And the equivalence to a store button is this little yellow arrow right here on the X to the Y button. And because it's orange, I guess that's orange, not yellow, it's orange. You want to hit the Shift key first to click store. Okay. So storing numbers into variables on your calculator, um, you know, is a powerful function to use because you get into trouble when you write numbers down and you round them because you don't want to write out the full 10-digit decimal place. So you round it. Well, you end up getting your answer wrong in the end. So by storing those 10-digit decimals into a variable on your calculator, you can then use that variable in your calculation without running into any errors in your answer. Okay. All right. So I think that kind of fully explains, filling out this table and getting this answer with both calculators and showing you a few tricks along the way. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.